Good day, class of 2020. My name is Russ Stukel. I'm the Director of Student Life. I'm here with Ben Warren, and our exciting session today is going to be about student travel. It might seem a little peculiar, but when a student comes to the Academy of Mathematics and Science, we are designing and putting together a program for student success and what it's like to be a college student. So students coming to the Academy for the first time will have somewhat of a structure around them for success. And this structure is involved, believe it or not, our examination or use of weekends. On weekends, we're asking students to figure out what it means to be a college student. Do I do research? Do I get involved in community service? Do I go work out? How do I get my butt out of bed on a Saturday morning is probably the bigger question for students. We ask that students stay here on the weekends to develop this skill set and to take responsibility for their time. How to do laundry, maybe how to learn to change a flat tire on a car would be a good skill set. There are weekends where we close the building down and we ask that students go home to their families. We understand the size of Texas might be so great that getting home is a little bit difficult. So we have host families available for students to stay in on those closed weekends. There are 4 closed weekends typically each semester, and we'll get to those dates a little bit later in this presentation. So out of 15 weeks of a semester, students need to stay on this campus for 11 of those 15 weeks. And why that is we again want students to figure out what that responsibility of planning their days, planning their weekends, what to do with their friends, how to schedule their own fun, as well as some of their other structured activities. So the first semester, the class of 2022, you guys will have 3 travel options in addition to those 4 closed weekends. So we'll get to that process here in a minute. Let me go over to Ben Warren and see if he's got some reflections here on this process also.
Thanks, Russ. Yeah, I think that it's an interesting transition, basically, that when you're sending your student to TAMS, that the student's going to go through some transitions, and you as the parent as well will go through transitions. And the students moving from a high school student to a college student, being under the full parental care, to certain independence and autonomy and freedoms, and that's a good thing. And our system, don't worry, our system is built with plenty of safety nets, and we'll take care of your student. But they need this sort of soft opening to adulthood to be able to move forward and grow. And we really want to support that, and we want the parents to support that as well. And so in many ways, you're having to release your grip from your child. And we know that that's hard, but it's the best thing for them. And so it's all played into that. I mean, something as simple as travel weekends and travel requests may just seem like policy, but it's all playing into that grand vision for your student.
Great points, Ben. Great points. Something we also want to make sure we focus on is some of you will come with very, very many talents and interests, and you'll want to say, how can I continue with those talents and interests on weekends? And we have a framework to say, sure, if you can get back to us in time for curfew on those nights, then those activities can be continued. This includes religious involvements, community service events that you might want to maintain at home. But as long as you're able to get back to us by curfew, then it fits within our framework. We consider a travel anything that exceeds that curfew time. So on Friday and Saturday, curfew is at 1 a.m. So if you're wanting to stay out beyond that, or you want to stay home, that would be considered a travel weekend. Students access travel weekends through the TAMS portal, and we'll do this training through orientations with your students, but they go to the TAMS Student Life page. Under Student Life, it's current students. Will take them to the TAMS IM portal. Under the TAMS IM portal, they log in with their EUID. That's typically the first letter of their first name, the middle name, and then last name, followed by a series of digits, and then their password. And you guys have manipulated your EUIDs already. When you log in through the student portal, you go to privilege request, and you'll see this form in front of you. It's pretty self-explanatory. It asks you to list the days and times, the destination, where you're going to be, the phone numbers. Typically, students are going home, their parents are traveling and picking them up. just want to hang out with mom and dad, any other extraneous information we need. And a student needs to fill this out prior to the weekend, obviously. The deadline for students is on Thursdays uh, for, let's say, that weekend travel. So if you wish to travel Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you would need to get that by Thursday noon. Parents need to call the front desk and confirm all these details. The numbers are listed in front of you on the screen. Parents, probably be a good idea to push that into your phone now, as well as students. The front desk is like the hub of information for the academy, so we ask that everybody has that phone number in order to check in with us and to give us proper information. Am I covering that right, Ben? This needs to get in by Thursday for students?
Yeah, Thursdays at noon is when the student needs to get it, and then the same day by 10 p.m. is the parent call.
Fantastic. And we ask for that to take place so our staff can put all this information, because we take it seriously, tracking your students in the evenings, making sure we know where they are at the curfew hour. They need to either be with you all or with us. So once a student has filled this out and a parent has called in and confirmed the details, and that phone conversation might be a little interesting for the parent, because our desk staff has been trained to possibly ask you some identifying questions like a work number or something significant with the parent, so we can confirm that this is a parent on the line. Please let it be a parent. Don't have a brother or a sister call in or a friend, because we can't allow your student to travel with a permission from an individual that's not listed as far as into our system. Let's look at a month of September. So this is actually the month of September 2020, when your son or daughter would be here at the academy. You can see already that there's a closed weekend on the Labor Day weekend. So this weekend on the 4th, that Friday, the building would close that day, which means students need to take whatever it takes to get through the weekend home with them: books, I want to take some clothes. Hopefully you're doing your laundry here, but hey, this is always a time when students take laundry home. But they need to be off the wing at 5 o'clock, and the building will close at 7. The building closes, the staff relaxes. Sometimes they go out, sometimes they even go home. But basically, the building is closed that Friday and Saturday. And on this particular weekend, because it's Labor Day weekend, we'll be closed on Sunday, and the building will reopen Monday, Labor Day, at 2 p.m., which means the doors will be open. You guys can come back. We don't ask that everybody come back at 2 p.m. We're just letting you know that the doors are open at 2 p.m. and students can come between 2 p.m. and basically 30 minutes before curfew. So curfew on Monday would be 11 p.m. So you can return to McConnell anytime between 2 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. that Monday. So if you were to take, let's say, a weekend in between here as one of your travel weekends, the student would need to, let's say the 26th, you got a family reunion that's pretty traditional with your family, and you wish to be home on the 26th, the student would need to submit the travel by the 24th. You could submit it, the student could submit it as early as the 2nd or the 9th. If you know that's already on your family schedule, submit it early. We are excited when you guys do things early. So you can submit it anytime prior to the 24th. So you could submit it in August if you like. Parents can call in anytime as well, which is the exciting part about this. We ask that you don't everybody wait until the 24th, because you can imagine that bogs down our system. So calling ahead is welcomed, but this is the deadline basically for Thursday if you wish to travel that weekend. So the call would come in, all the details would be confirmed. Your student would leave after their last class on the Friday. So if their last class ends at 10 a.m., parents can come pick them up at 10:05. It's entirely up to you all. We ask that you just kind of check in at the front desk on your way out the door to say, is my travel okay? And the front desk will confirm that. And then you take the day with your parents, basically, that 25th, 26th, and return to us by the 27th. That's a typical travel weekend where you leave on a Friday and return on Sunday. Again, what time you return on Sunday, the 27th, 30 minutes before curfew would be the latest. So 10:30 on that Sunday would be the latest, but you can return anytime on that Sunday prior to 10:30. We just ask that you get back in time for that. So this is a typical viewpoint of September. You see we've got a closed weekend, Labor Day weekend, and a closed weekend, the first weekend in October. 5 you need to be off the wing, 7 out of the building. We're closed on Saturday, and then McConnell will traditionally open up on 2 p.m. that Sunday. Am I missing anything here, Ben?
Nope, I think you got it.
Great. If we look at closed weekends for the academic year, these are the closed weekends. And again, you can pencil these into your calendar. I think an emphasis we want to make on these types of weekends, both closed and travel weekends, is that you need to think strategically about when you want these to utilize these closed weekends. It could be that you have a traditional family gathering on a weekend in the fall. If it doesn't fall on a closed weekend, then anticipate using one of those travel requests for that event. If your student is whimsically coming home and exhausting their travel request, and you have a scheduled event and you run out of the 3 that you have for the fall semester, we will deny the request for the 4th one or the 5th one. So please understand that you need to be a good steward of your travel options, and that you're restricted or only allowed 3 that first semester. The first semester has 4 closed weekends and 3 travel weekends. Out of 15 weeks, that's 7 weekends you can travel, which means only 8 you need to stay here in McConnell.
You also may get a chance to go on a couple of other travel weekends if it is a TAMS sponsored event. Those are the only freebies we really offer. And that's usually events that are arranged by clubs within student activities. And that it is some sort of competition where you're traveling away from the hall for a night or 2 nights or something like that. We do not charge a travel request for that, though the system is still the same. Travel requests, parent approvals, all of that is still exactly the same. It just doesn't cost a point.
So Ben lets you and I play the part of a parent and staff member role. Who would you like to be, the parent or the staff member?
I'll be the parent.
Excellent. I'll close my eyes and allow you to get into character.
All right. Yes, Russ, I do have a question. My daughter does volleyball, and she has practice Monday, Wednesday through Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. Every evening, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. in Frisco. Will I need to put travel requests to do that?
Wow. Well, that's really impressive that Ben, your daughter is that much of a volleyball enthusiast. 7 to 9 during the weekday is permissible. It's a little excessive, to be honest, but if you're going to try and work that out, I applaud your efforts, but you'll need to pick your daughter up at McConnell Hall and return her in time that night. You can't have her overnight. So I can tell you that if you get tired and you're like, oh, we've got a family illness, can I keep my daughter overnight? We will deny that and basically have your daughter be returned to us that night. So please be aware of that we're very rigid on school night travel. That, to be honest, is a little excessive, but hey, I'll allow you to go as you please during the week to try that initially, but not a travel request at all. So,
Russ, I have a question. My son and I like to go camping sometimes, and sometimes we do hunting. We'll go on a camping trip overnight lots of times. And, he's my son, so I can take him anytime I want, right, to do that, because it's just me and him. It's no problem with security or anything. Will that count as a travel?
It's not a security issue now, and I'm happy that you guys are spending some time together hunting. I will ask you to be careful. If you take your son overnight on a Friday night or a Saturday night, that would be considered a travel. So if you camp overnight, please have your son submit the travel. You as a parent will need to call in and approve that travel. Even if it's just for Saturday night, that will still cost you a travel option. We don't split the travel options up so that you have a half a travel here and a half a travel there. That would drive our staff insane. So if you are overnight with your student and you're asking them to be away from the hall, that would count as one travel.
Well, Russ, I have a question. If I can't get in touch with my son and I call the front desk, you'll know exactly where he is, right? I mean, y'all are keeping tabs on him during the day, right?
Wow. Yeah, that's an interesting question. And I'm sad that your son is dodging you. But yeah, during the day, we pretty much release them to the public, which in my mind is as soon as they leave the building, hopefully for class, that they are on their own and responsible as a university student. During the time frame of basically when they leave the building till right up until curfew, they are responsible for themselves. We have a vague understanding of where they should be with regard to class, and we can visit those classrooms and find them there. But outside of class, students could be studying, students could be getting a snack, students could be doing community service, research, those types of things. So I would encourage you to establish a great bond with your students so that when you do call them, they will pick up the phone. But in a case of emergency, we can find them when they're in a class period time. Outside of that, we'll have to have a little bit of latitude to how to track them down.
Well, Russ, it sounds slightly restrictive. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but at some point there's going to be certain exceptions. Like certainly you'll make way for religious holidays, and we can do any religious holidays that we may have. We can just come pick up our son or daughter. Is that correct?
I think religious holidays are fantastic, and knowing that they are scheduled and planned, I think allows us to be uh, very adept at scheduling. And so these religious holidays, please budget them accordingly. You have three travel options to choose from, which I think you could easily utilize for those religious celebrations. In addition to that, those four closed weekends. As far as making exceptions, I'm not going to commit to those at all. And in fact, I'm going to encourage you to budget as best as possible with the three that we give you, and in addition to the four that are already established on the calendar.
Wow, Russ, this has Ben here again, and that was some really great questions from the parents, and
I love
I'm
our
glad. I feel like a lot of those the issues were addressed, and in many ways, it's kind of summarized in that we have restrictions, and those restrictions are for the students' security and for their adjustment as college students. But it sounds like we're doing a great job, in my opinion. So, and we're caring for those students. So thanks, parents, for those questions.
Exactly. And if you have more, feel free to email us or call us. We appreciate you watching this instructional video. It is high quality and we know it. So please have a great day, and we'll see you in our next session.